Now let's continue with one more thing remaining in the OOPS concept, that is access modifiers. So what is exactly access modifier? So in short, it's like we have three kinds of access modifiers: public, protected, and private. So in TypeScript, access modifiers are keywords that are used to control accessibility of class members. So if you want someone to have all the access, you would make them public. If you want to something to be private, that means not allowed to be accessed by anyone, you would make it private. If you want something to be only accessed by your child, not anyone else, so you would actually make it protected, right? So let's understand this. So again, I would just comment this out, and here let's understand about access modifiers. So first of all, let's understand about public. So just say we have a class, suppose I would just name it as my class, and let's close it like this. I'm just saying by default all of them are public. That means you can see whatever you do here, there is no restriction. So by default all of them are public. So I would just say name is a string. I've just defined like if you don't write public here, that means you are saying that this is public. Okay, by default all properties are public. Okay, but since I have written this, so you can actually write this so that you can have a clear understanding. So I have a property which is public, and I would just define a constructor for that, and again I want to just assign it to my object. That's it. Okay, so now if I just create a function also, so let me just create a function. I would just say we have a function public greet, and this would be returning something like hello and with the name. Okay, so I've just created a function with the greet. Okay, so now suppose we create an object. So let my obj, and I've just given the name, and now if I just try to print the name, so I would get the name, and if I try to call the function greet, let me just check now. Okay, so now if I just call this, you can see yes, HJ and hello HJ. So you can see this is working fine. But suppose now this is public, that means anyone can easily access that. By default all class members, that means even if you don't write public, that means you are saying it's public. Even if you don't write public, that's public. Okay, that means anyone can easily call this and access the properties. Anyone can easily access the properties. Okay, that's what public is. So if no access modifier is explicitly specified, public members are accessible from anywhere. You haven't defined public, that means it's public. Okay, but if you have defined something like private or protected, that means that property is actually now private or protected. So both within the class or external code, you can see that from anywhere you can access the properties. Now the second thing is private. So in the same example, if I write something like private, okay, so okay, what I'll do is I'll just write something else. So suppose we have some secret, and let's create a secret, right? And or just say that we have a function also which says reveal secret. Okay, and it would actually reveal the secret. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. So I'm just saying that we have a secret and it would reveal the secret. So suppose if I want to say this is suppose some password, and I would like to reveal this, and I would like to reveal this. Okay, that means I want to get the secret like this. Okay, so let me just try to run this. You can easily see that I know what's the secret, and I got the function result, right? That means it's public. I want to make this private, that means I can't see the secret. Okay, although I can see some computation later on, whatever result you want with this function, you can do this, but I don't want to see the secret. If someone directly wants to see the secret, they are not allowed. So I would actually make it private. That's it. So if you make it private, let's see what actually happens here. So if I try to run this, you would actually be able to run this. You can see I'm able to run this, but you would get an error here, that is property secret is private, can only be accessed from this class. Okay, so yeah, you might be confused that now why am I able to see this, because it happens normally, like, but when you write proper code you won't be able to see this. But yeah, just for showcasing, you would get the error like this. That means if something is private, no one else can see this. Okay, right now we are printing this, but later on you would be using this somewhere, there you can't see the passwords. Okay, but yeah, if I just talk about this function, this is allowed, this is public, that means this function is public. So whatever happens inside this public is visible to everyone. Okay, so make sure you write things wisely inside your function. And generally people do like concepts like inside class, if you want to update or get something, we have getter and setter methods. They are basically functions. They do not directly set values to these properties, they use functions to set values. Okay, so we'll see that, but right now it works like this, right? Now guys, what we are going to say is we have defined the private. Now private is actually what? Private members are accessible only within the classes where they are defined. They cannot be accessed from outside the class. That means you can't access them outside the class like this. Okay, that means if you try this, you would get an error. But if you try it normally, that means inside the class itself, you can see we have a property and we are using that same property inside the class itself. There won't be any problem. You can directly use the property here. That means I have used it. I don't need any access. Okay, and you can use this function outside which is using this private property, because this function is public. Even if it's using a private property, the function is public, so I can easily use this function anywhere, right? The method anywhere. Now we are going to talk about protected. So protected members are similar to private members, but with an additional access, that is they are accessible with defining class and its children, that is subclasses. Okay, so suppose we have a parent. And let me just again comment this out, and I'm just going to say we have a parent. Okay, so parent class. I would just say class as parent, and here you can just say we have protected family name. Okay, so I'm just saying family name would be protected and can only seen by child, not anyone else, not your neighbor's child. Your only child can see the family name, like that. Okay, and let me just create a constructor for that, and this constructor will allow to set me the family name. And then we are going to say we have a child. Okay, so I'll just say we have a child. So let's say we have child, and this child actually extends the parent, and I'm just saying we have a function here. You can add some properties also. So we have a function which says get family name. Okay, get family name. So whenever I call this function, it would actually return what? Family name. I would actually return void. I just want to return nothing, and that means I just want to print something. So I would just print something. So I would just say family name is this. Okay, so I'm just saying from parent you can't get the you can't get the family name. You can't get the family name, but from child you can easily call this function. This function is public, so you can't access protected values from outside, but you can again access public values. Okay, so I'm just saying if suppose this was private, so you can see now even child can't access this value. That's what I have said. But suppose if it's protected, that means I'm saying it's same as private. That means outside people can't access this directly unless we have a function like this. But yeah, if it's protected, that means my child can easily access the values. That is family name can easily accessed by this. Okay, that's what we call protected. Okay, so suppose if I just say let child one is this. Okay, this is suppose the family name. Okay, suppose this is the family name. Now suppose if I want to just say console.log, and I want to get the family name, that means I want to print the property family name. So suppose if I try to print this, you can see the problem would be property family name is protected and only accessed within class parent and its subclasses. That means you can't access it from outside like this, right? This is totally outside. But suppose if I call the function, if I just call the function instead, that is get family name, it would easily give me protected data also. Okay, so if you are trying to access the protected data, you must have a function like this. If the function exists, then only you would be able to access the protected data, else you can't. Okay, so now if I try to run this, you can see it's totally fine with the protected data. You can see this, right? But with private data you can't access that directly, right? So these were some access modifiers which I wanted to tell you: public, private, protected. So access modifiers in TypeScript provide encapsulation and help enforce encapsulation, data hiding, and proper access control within classes, improving the code quality and maintainability and reducing unexpected side effects. They offer a way to control how class members are accessed and modified. So now guys, we have learned this much. Now after this we are going to learn one more thing, that is getter and setter methods. So they are very important actually. So let's actually discuss them. So getter methods are used to retrieve the value of a private property from a class. So they are used, they are defined using the get keyword. Okay, so we have a get keyword for getter method and then for set keyword for setter method. Okay, so if you want to like modify some property, like you want to modify the name, if you want to get the name, so you can actually have get and set methods to do that kind of job. Okay, so let's use that. So set property, again, if you want to update something, you would be using the set property. You can't update anything like this very easily, right? So if you want to use update something, you would be using the set property. So let me just give you an example. So first of all, we would understand the get property actually. So getter methods are used to retrieve the value of the private property from a class. Suppose something is private and you want to get the value of that. So one way was that we had some function which would actually allow us. Similarly, we have the get method, specific method, and again it's similar to the normal function we just now talked, to just print the value. So I would just say, suppose we have a circle, and its radius is private and it's a number, and we have a constructor which again takes and sets radius, okay, when you define the object. Now if I want to get, suppose, diameter, so it would be number, okay. So I'm just saying that, I'm sorry, so I've just defined a get method, and I'm just saying that get method is again a normal, just like a normal function, but it's like I've defined this is a get type. That means I want to get something, so I'm just saying we have a diameter, the return type is a number, and I'm just saying it would return what? It would return the radius. Even this is private, you can easily do this. Even if this is private, you can easily do this. It's just like a normal function which we talked just now. It's just like a normal function which we have talked just now. Okay, it's nothing different, but yeah, I've just given it a name, get method. Okay, so now suppose if you want to get, if you have created a circle and if you want to get the diameter, that means you have created a property of diameter. And you can easily use that. For example, if I am returning something, okay, that means you have created a function and it would return some value. Okay, so I'm just calling this function and it would return me the value. So let me just try to use this. So you can see I'm getting 20. Okay, I'm getting 20. So you have defined 10 and 10 into 2 is 20. Easy, right? So that's how you can use the get method to get some value. If you just want to get the radius, like for example, I would just say get, and let's say we have get radius. We have, suppose, a function which would actually give me this radius. So if you want to get the radius direct, suppose if I write radius, you can see I'm getting a red line, and it would actually say property radius is private and only accessible within the circle, because you have defined it as private. But if I call get radius, you can easily get the radius very easily. If I run this, you can see, yeah, that's totally fine. So you are not getting an error here, right? Now after this, we are going to understand about the set method. So set method or setter methods are used to assign values to private properties of a class. So they are defined using the set keyword, allow the logic to be executed. So again, we have set method. So I would just say, suppose if I want to set something, so I would just set, and we have set radius. Okay, suppose we have set radius. So here I would just say that if suppose radius is, suppose, less than or equal to 0, suppose someone provided less than this, so I would just throw an error, radius should be greater than 0. Okay, suppose if radius is like this, else just update the radius. That's it, just update the radius. Okay, so suppose if I want to update the radius later on, what I would do is, right now you can see radius is what, 10. Suppose if I just say suppose set radius is, suppose, 20. So now if I want to get the radius, what would happen actually? Let me just see. So you can see now the updated radius is 20. Okay, that's actually set method. Now suppose instead of this, if I provide 0, what it would say, if you want to update the value, you have some parameters, the strict rules which you must follow. You can see we have the error here, right? So that's how it actually works. That's how the set method works. Set method is just used to update the value. You have defined some initial value, later on you want to update this, you can easily do this here, right? That's how you can do this. Suppose if I want to update a private value directly, what would happen? Suppose this is, suppose radius is not private, it's public. Suppose this is public. Now if I say circle dot radius equals 0, and now if I try to run this, you can easily see it's working. It's easily working because it's public, anyone can update that, right? But since I would just make it private, I'm just saying nobody else can update that. You can see radius property is private and can only be accessed within circle. That means no one else can update this. So to update this, we have the set methods. So you can define set methods to update private properties or protected properties, whatever you want, right? So guys, I hope you understood this, and now if I want to update this, I would just simply call the set radius method, and it would just take the parameter and update that, right? So I hope you understood this part. In this example, set actually sets the data, radius updates the property easily. So this was it for the OOPs which I wanted to tell you. And till now we have covered all the concepts of TypeScript. Very like unimportant concepts are remaining, but they are not that much important in your future journey. So we have covered all important concepts of TypeScript which are important in one stack. So I hope you understood this complete module of TypeScript. So that's it for today. I will see you in the next one. Till then, see you. Have a good day. Bye bye.